And we are back. Sorry it took a while to get back on the air, but welcome back everybody to this live stream. We are now here for the qualifying session ahead of the United States Grand Prix here at Austin, Texas. I am JW97 and I'm once again joined by Robert Ionescu.
Hello, it's time to get this show on the road. What are everybody's predictions on who's going to get eliminated in Q1? Let's know. I'll go first with my predictions. I'm predicting both Williams, both AlphaTauri, one Haas, and one Aston Martin. That's my prediction.
I'm going to go with both Williamses, both both Williamses, both AlphaTauris, a Aston Martin, and a Haas. That's what I think my predictions will be. But we're
So you
now
got the
in the
same
pit
prediction
lane.
as me then. All right, let's get this going.
Obviously, no rain expected throughout the entirety of qualifying, so it's just going to be dry for Q1, Q2, and Q3. As we are obviously again using the soft tires, as it looks like Patel's getting ready to go out on track, but is he going to get beaten to the punch? Let's see. As the mechanics get set to get going, as it looks like the Renault is going to beat him to the punch. That being Jesus Perinen, who's going to be the first onto the racetrack in the Renault now then as he makes his way onto the racetrack. So reading everybody's predictions then in the stream chat, we have as follows. Dennis has said both AlphaTauris, both Williamses, one Aston Martin and one Haas. Fonchanik has said both AlphaTauris, an Aston Martin, a Williams, a Haas and an Alfa Romeo. Chris Chatfield has said both AlphaTauris, both Williamses, a Haas and an Alfa Romeo. And Xavier has said both AlphaTauris, both Alfa Romeos and both Aston Martins. So they are his predictions. Haley Bailey also put a prediction down, but I think he's retracted it. So that's that. So anyway, we're out on track. There is now 13 cars out on the track. Of course, Perinen is the first one to get out onto the track, as all 22 cars will be out on track on this occasion, but usually one car gets left behind after the first runs, and it would not surprise me if there is it will not surprise anyone that usually in the first lap some people do get caught up in traffic. So we'll wait to see how that one sort of develops. And of course the mistake rate is of course upped from practice into qualifying, so that will obviously be interesting to see how the drivers keep their nerves during this qualifying session. As Perinen now then just making his way around the left-hander now then, as he's now coming around the triple right he goes.
Got a new prediction from Haley Bailey. Meanwhile, both AlphaTauris, both Haas, both Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo. I think that's too many numbers there.
7 again, Haley. You need to take away one of them. So anyway, Perinen is about to start his next flying lap now then, and Perinen starts his first flying lap of Q1 as he heads up towards the first corner now then, as he just misses the curve on the inside. And now coming around into turn 2 now, then he goes flat out for the second corner as he now makes his way through into the left, then through into the right, then through into the left, and then through into turn 6, and then into turn 7. A 17.959 for Perinen in that first sector. Let's see what everybody else is doing. A 17.843 for Garma in that first sector, so he's up on Perinen in that first sector. An 18.068 for Griffiths, 17.865 for Roke, so he's also up on Perinen in that first sector. 18 dead for Chatfield in the first sector.
17.9 for Patel. Meanwhile,
as it's an 18.241 for Gal, a 17.977 for Lopez. Meanwhile, in that first sector, as we're currently through this long sector 2 now. Then as now Perinen is coming up towards the end of sector 2. It's a 56.752 for Perinen in that second sector as he now makes his way through what is considered to be the little stadium section of Kota now then. A 56.373 for Garma in the second sector, a 57.213 for Griffiths, a 56.712 for Roke, a 56.703 for Patel. Meanwhile, as Perinen now then comes towards the final 2 corners on the racetrack now then, heading into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then will come Jesus Perinen in the Renault, down the pit straight and across the line. He will now go and then across the line, and it's a 131.449, but Motrin goes even quicker.
Big surprise there. Gamba goes fastest presumably, but that was a brilliant lap from Motrin. Jamie Griffiths goes 4th, slowest so far. Roke goes 3rd. Up next is Miklos Gal. He goes 6th, perhaps predictable. So Chatfield goes 6th fastest, Patel 3rd. We have Evan Byrne.
Across the line he will go, and he goes into third position, slots in behind Motrin, who definitely used Perillin's slipstream to his advantage. Lopez goes into 7th, Kupok across the line he will go, he goes into 10th, Quag goes into 6th, Galloway goes 5th, Willows across the line he will go in the McLaren, he goes into 10th, Wilson across the line, 14th for the home favourite, Fraser 15th, DeRosa across the line he will go after his first lap, goes 9th, Sontag in the Williams, across the line he will go, and he goes into 16th, and that's 17th now, because Chung used this slipstream to go into 10th. Car goes into 9th after that lap. P2 for Videri, a very good first lap for him as well. Same going for Motrin as well. Anderson across the line, he will go, and he goes into 21st position. But at the moment, Gamba is at the top, but surprisingly, 2nd and 3rd for both Videri and Motrin at the moment, Rob.
And here we had so many people predicting both Alfa Romeos would be eliminated. What were they thinking? Incredible stuff, both from the Alfa and the Aston there.
Indeed so, and so that's that really, and
surprisingly poor first runs for Willows and Sheffield in particular. They're a little bit in danger.
Indeed so, as Perinin now then coming into the pit lane. So far then in the drop zone we have Kupok, Wilson, Sontag, Fraser, Anderson and Gal currently in the drop zone. Gal the only one at the moment to be 2 seconds off the pace at this stage, but of course we are waiting for the second flying laps to happen, and of course one driver does get left behind after these runs. As looking at the Mercedes, there's only 10th and 13th so far for both the Mercedes drivers, but yeah, a very interesting first flying lap. You talked about Alfa Romeo being eliminated in the first session. Well, not only Videri 2nd, Quag in 8th for the moment, so both of them currently in the top 10 in this session.
I think both are safely through. Same goes for Motrin. I don't see how anybody could beat. I don't see how enough people could beat that to eliminate them now. They've done an incredible job to get themselves to Q2, but I think Videri wishes he could do the same again in Q2 and Q3, because we've had an Alfa Romeo on the front row this season once. Let's not forget. How crazy would it be if it happened again?
Yep, that was courtesy of Roman Quag back at the Spanish Grand Prix, as the Haas there of Fraser having a bit of a detour through the garage there. But
also a prediction from Santino in the chat, both ET, both Williams, both Haas. So pretty standard prediction there, I'd say.
Yeah, indeed so. As anyway, as Chung just got wheeled back into the garage there, she's currently in top position. The teammate Patel up in 5th at this stage. As so far then, a Gamba Mafia 1-2 at the moment, as it's usually referred to in the OC community. Gamba first for Derry in 2nd place. It looks like the Aston Martin of Roland Motrin, who's currently in 3rd position, definitely benefiting from Perillin's slipstream in front. Current is now going out onto the racetrack. Obviously, he had a very good race in Malaysia last time out, and he's doing everything in his power to try and get retained by Aston Martin for next season. As obviously, we are expecting Anderson to leave the team at the end of the season, but we could end up with Roland Motrin also leaving the team at the end of the season, should Aston Martin decide to not retain him, and then we could end up with a situation where Aston Martin would have a brand new lineup in 2022. But we will wait to see on that. Is Motrin going around the right-hander and then through into the left he goes, using a bit of curb on the outside and then flicking it in through the section of corners. Also on the track we have Gamba. Bernie's also out there, as is Roke. So 4 cars currently on track as we speak. But it'd be interesting to see whether Videri or Motrin can keep this up in this session, Rob.
Well, on the topic of Motrin, before Malaysia, he might have said he might have needed an attorney like Saul Goodman, for instance, to make a case for him as to why he should stay at Aston. I don't think he needs that anymore. He's making that case for himself brilliantly. And this is a brilliant qualifying session for him. But it's only Q1, of course. He needs to keep that momentum through Q2 and maybe even Q3 if he can get in there. But yeah, Motrin is on a roll at the moment.
Indeed so, and he'll be starting his next lap quite soon. As mentioned earlier, usually one driver gets left behind on the second runs when all 22 cars are present for a session. So
a phenomenon I like to refer to as getting Houtalad. Who's it going to be this time?
Only Videri and Anderson are still left in the garage. Who's going to get left behind on this occasion as Motrin just starts second flying lap. Luckily, no traffic to interfere with him. And it is Anderson who gets left behind on this occasion. So he'll be coming back out later on to see if he can try and get himself out of the drop zone, as he's currently on the back row of the grid with Miklos Gallus. Through into the S's then goes Roland Motrin. Let's see what his first sector looks like. And he's 66 thousandths down on his personal best in the first sector. And exactly a 10th down on Garma in that first sector as well, as Motrin makes his way through the right and then into the left hand. And he goes using a bit of curb a lot of curb, I should say, on the outside, down the hill, heading down towards the hairpin, where we have seen a few crashes in the past, down into this corner.
Don't remind me.
During the opening laps of this race. So it's kind of a common corner.
Yeah, I know. 2013 still hurts.
Anyway, as Motrin now then comes down towards the left-hander before he comes up towards the end of the second sector now then. Let's see what his second sector now looks like. And he's 2 tenths down in the middle sector. So I'm not expecting Motrin to improve on that occasion. So, of course...
Even so, this is a brilliant lap nevertheless, given the car he's in. He's 1.7 seconds faster than his teammate. This is an absolute thrashing.
There's a yellow flag, actually, and it's Gal. Miklos Gal's had a spin just coming out of turn 7. That's going to impact some people's laps as a result. And it looks like he may have got a bit too quick going through.
Sloan Fraser down there.
As let's see how it happened then. So he's just going around the S's now then. Let's see where it started as he comes out of the right-hander there. And, well, he just seemed to get a touch of oversteer. Tried to quickly... Oh,
he collided with Q-Puck. Rule 1.
Never hit your teammate, and Q-Puck is having to come back into pits. He was actually up on his personal best in the first sector, but Gal's mistake has put pay to that. He's not going to be happy with his teammate there.
No, definitely not. Wilson and Patel won't be happy with that either. And Fraser was on a massive improvement in the first sector, but that's all gone to waste.
And Gal will be coming back into... Well, he won't be coming back into the pits because he hasn't got any damage, but his teammate will be, so some people could still get compromised when they're trying to get by on Q-Puck, as Motrin doesn't improve, he stays where he is.
Here goes Rogue.
Across the line he will go. Can he go to the top? And no, he can't. He goes 5th at this stage, as his teammate is also not up on his personal best. I don't know if he was one of the guys that got held up by...
Doesn't look like it. His S2 time was competitive, only 2 tenths down.
But he will still remain at the top at this stage. He's currently at the top with a 1 minute 30.715. He crosses the line and he stays the same. No improvement there. Burn across the line. He doesn't improve and he stays in 4th position. Jamie Griffiths is also... Some of the guys got
another yellow.
Now. We've got a yellow down at the hairpin now, and it's Wilson. Wilson has had a moment, and it looks like with a Lamborghini, because that's about a Lamborghini front wing on the right there. So I wonder if she's had a collision with one of the Lamborghini drivers, as Chatfield got up into 6th. And yes, it was. Which Lamborghini was it? It was Patel's. They were both trying to go around Q-Pop there.
My goodness, let's see what happened. Patel went for the move on Wilson. She closed the door, and Patel went for a gap. I'd say this is a racing incident, but this isn't racing. Either way, this means Millie Wilson's session is over because of the spare car ban. She can't go back out on track.
Yep, so Wilson's session is done with, and the American fans are definitely not going to appreciate what Patel has done to their home favourite there. Wilson out.
I'm not really sure who is to blame for that one, but I think Wilson will not be happy about it, and neither will Patel. But Patel will make it through to the next session, so he can afford to lick his wounds there. Though I wouldn't say the same about the Haas driver, as her teammate is finishing a lap, which was massively impeded.
As Wilson will now get the spare combine implemented, so she won't be able to go back out on track. So she is officially out in Q1 because she is down in 18th position. It's just a case now whether she stays in 18th or she goes further down the order. But either way, not the way she wanted her home way to start a home race off.
No, definitely not. And I want to ask you, Joe, what were your thoughts on that incident?
I think Patel was a little bit too ambitious, if I'm being totally honest. So I would not be surprised if the American fans are going to be, very angry with Patel on that occasion. So
I think some of them might be, but nevertheless, I don't think any penalties will come about as a result of this. There's no reason for it to be penalized. So Patel, I don't think he has anything to worry about. He can just focus on the remainder of his session. Though I think Wilson will be angry with him at least for a day or two.
And Gal, of course, crossing the line after his mistake. Willows, across the line he will go, and he doesn't improve. He stays where he is. Laura Chung, across the line she goes. No improving. Looks like she may have got held up during that whole Patel business. Same goes for Lopez. No improving. A lot of people's times getting impacted because of the 2 yellow flags that we've seen in this session. Carr doesn't improve. De Rosa does, though. He goes up into 2nd. Quark does also. He goes up into 4th. So 3 and 4 now for the 2 Alfa Romeo drivers, as Videri is not on an improvement. as he now makes his way onto the pit straight now. Then Videri, across the line he will go. I'm not expecting him to improve, and no, he doesn't. He stays in third. But Italian 1-2-3 at the moment, Rob.
Indeed, and an Alfa Romeo in fourth. And I mean the second Alfa Romeo is in fourth. What a session is for the Italians.
Indeed so, and
as for the Ferraris, they are currently in P8 and P10. They were looking a lot stronger than this in practice, but maybe they can still bring the fight to Red Bull. We'll have to wait and see. They're through to Q2 for certain, nevertheless. Because I don't see how anybody can knock Jake Galloway out.
See, most of their laps got impacted, of course, during that whole thing, so we'll have to wait and see how that one develops.
You have Q-Puck going out.
Q-Puck is now out on track in the AlphaTauri, and as he now makes his way out of the pit lane now then, and he'll be the first to come out on track for the third runs. There's still a few cars yet to come into pit lane as we speak. Of course, we're expecting Anderson to come out on track because he actually didn't go out on that occasion. So I expect another car to be left behind, of course, because Wilson is in the garage. So there'll be, along with Wilson, I expect another car to be left behind in the garage as we speak. There's Q-Puck now then just coming around the S's now, then he will go. So coming around into turn 7 with just under 5 minutes to go. Q-Puck, the only one on track now, as Videri's only just come back into the pit lane. As he just makes his way through the right and left. Q-Puck will be hoping he doesn't. Obviously,
it's too late to change my mind, says Patel there in the chat.
Q-Puck, of course, let's not forget, he had to come back into the pits to get his front wing repaired after he got collected by his teammate's spinning car there. So he had to come back into the pits and change his front wing. As a result,
lucky he wasn't. He's lucky that wasn't terminal damage, of course, because that could have very easily been something that could have knocked his car out of commission and inflict a spare car ban, which is what happened to Wilson. But thankfully, Q-Puck has been given another shot. They were able to repair the damage quite quickly, and he's got a flying lap that he's going to set. And the big question is, will he have clean air for it or not?
You will see, of course. But of course,
either way, this will be his one and only chance to improve.
As I was going to say there, because he came out quite earlier, of course, it will mean that there is a chance he could get held up by traffic, but we'll see. We'll obviously keep an eye on the left-hand side once he crosses the line, which he's about to do very, very soon. As Q-Puck crosses the line, will there be any traffic by the time he gets down there? And the answer to that is no, so he's going to get a clean lap in. Is David Q-Puck. Luckily, does not get interfered by any traffic whatsoever.
He's got a track to himself. This is what any racing driver wants. This is like a dream, but now it's up to him to get the job done.
As he comes through the S's now, then let's see what his first sector is like compared to his personal best. He's actually down by 900ths of a second, so we'll see if he's able to try and pull that back in the remaining two sectors. Of course, he is currently in the drop zone at the moment. His Q-Puck down in 17th position. His teammate Gallo, of course, spun earlier on, currently down in last position. The only driver 2 seconds off the pace at the moment. As Q-Puck now then makes his way down towards the hairpin now then.
He needs to find, though, a hundredth and a half to get in front of Griffiths. But that won't guarantee safety because there are other people aiming to improve, so Q-Puck needs to find a little bit more. He's only 900s down in the first sector. That can be recovered. We'll see his middle sector split very shortly as he goes through the hairpin of turn 11. And now he's way down. This is not going to be an improvement, and he is out of qualifying unless he can pull a miraculous third sector off, which I don't see happening.
As Q-Puck just comes around the left-hander now, using all the curb outside through into the triple right-hander he goes now down the racetrack. You have to lift off a little bit, I think, through into there. As now coming into the final 2 corners, then we'll go David Q-Puck in the AlphaTauri now, then making his way down towards the final corner and onto the pit straight will come Q-Puck in the AlphaTauri as he makes his way onto the pit straight and across the line he will go. And we're not expecting this to be an improvement. And no, he stays 17th, but that will be his qualifying over because there won't be enough time for him to go back out. So Q-Puck is out of qualifying as we're now looking at Anderson, who is up on his personal best in the first sector. He's currently down in 21st, so obviously this is his last chance to try and see if he can get through into Q2.
Indeed, he doesn't want to be humiliated by his teammate. He needs to get through Q2, and he's almost 4/10 up on his personal best there. I think this could get him through to safety, or maybe not. I'm not quite sure. It'll be rather close. I think he needs to find 2/10 more to get in front of Griffiths, so it'll be interesting. But I think he can do that if he keeps it neat and tidy into these last few corners. Very careful into 19 here, and finally into the Andretti corner. We'll go Julius Anderson to finish his lap. Gets a good exit there, plenty of traction, and using it well. On the throttle he goes. Julius Anderson getting himself to safety here. No, he cannot.
Up to 19. Patel and Brewers. Roke goes to the top with a 1 minute 30.460. So it's now a Red Bull 1-2. Roke to the top of the timing sheets. Motrin, meanwhile, who's currently in 6th position. He's probably through. He's already safe into Q2 anyway, but he's not on an improvement as he now crosses the line and he doesn't improve. He stays where he is. Lopez just getting enough time to do 1 more lap. Same for Chung, same for Videri. Sontag is up on his personal best. He's currently in the drop zone down in 20th. Can he get that Williams into the top 16 threshold? It wouldn't mean he would push his teammate down into the drop zone, but let's see. Sontag down the pit straight he goes, and across the line will come the German driver. Can he get into the top 16? Yes, he can. He pushes his teammate into the drop zone. Sontag up into 15th. Chatfield on an improvement. He's currently in 8th position, but loses time in the last sector and remains in 8th position. I wonder if he's made a mistake.
He was impeded by the AlphaTauri of Cuba coming into the pits. But it's not going to ruin his session. Fraser, meanwhile, improves to go into 11th. That's brilliant. In the Haas, as Franco Gamba gets back into P1.
Willows now gets out of the drop zone, so pushes Sontag back into the drop zone. That means Sontag is now out. As Perenin went up into 6th. Gal's on an improvement, but he stays in 22nd. He's out. Griffith's last chance for him. He's out. He stays in 18th position. So both Williams is out in Q number 1. Here comes Evan Byrne now then in the Renault as he makes his way onto the pit straight. He's currently in 9th position. He is on the improvement. Where can he go? And he goes up into 3rd. So P3 for the Irishman.
Checkered flag is out.
Car is currently 14th. He was up on his personal best, but then lost a bit of time in the middle sector and doesn't improve and stays in 14th. Lopez currently in the cusp of the top 16, meanwhile.
There's nobody who can knock him out. All the people in the drop zone have already set their final laps, so Lopez will be safe. Only just, though, by half a tenth. This is a terrible qualifying session for Mercedes so far.
Only 14th and 16th for the pair of them. De Rosa is on the improvement. What can he do on the final lap? He goes into 3rd, so he gets back ahead of Byrne. As a result, Lopez
Here goes Lopez.
Is on the improvement, and he's through anyway, but let's see how far he can get further up. Lopez across the line, only up into 10th position with that lap. Chung is also on an improvement, and she goes into 14th position. Videri across the line, no improvement. He stays in 5th. He was already through anyway, and that's Q1 done with Gamba at the top of the session. And as you can see, so the top 3, Franco Gamba, George Roque and Kirishima De Rosa, and your bottom 6, Felix Sontag, Jamie Griffiths, David Kupak, Amelia Wilson, Julius Anderson, and Miklos Gal. For Amelia Wilson, though, a bit of a shame that she got took out, Rob.
Yeah, I think she'll be very, very disappointed with that because she only got to set 1 proper lap, and on her 2nd lap, she got taken out by the contact there of Patel. So in the end, it was both AlphaTauris, both Williams, 1 Haas and 1 Aston Martin getting eliminated. So it looks like you and I got our prediction right.
Yep, indeed. But for the moment, we're just going to take a brief pause whilst we wait for Q2 to get on the way. But in the meantime, guys,
I think also Armar Cock can breathe a sigh of relief because that was a little bit of a tense session in the Mercedes camp. Not just for him, but for Lopez as well.
And as I was going to say there, we're just going to take a brief pause. But in the meantime, guys, let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. But for the meantime, I'm just going to get the tweet ready for Twitter. So apologies if I do go a little bit silent for the moment.
So yeah, let us know your predictions on who will be eliminated in the chat. I'm going to think of a prediction. And yeah, just give me a second so I can keep you guys entertained while Joe is busy with the Twitter. So yeah. So my prediction is, I'm thinking who will have eliminated. We'll have 1 Haas, of course, which is Daniel Fraser. We will have 1 Alfa Romeo, 1 Aston Martin, which is Roland Mutchen. And I think we will have 1 Mercedes and both Lamborghinis. I think that is my prediction. That is what I'm going to go with. So once again, 1 Haas, 1 Aston Martin, 1 Alfa Romeo, 1 Mercedes, and both Lamborghinis. That's what I'm going for. We got a prediction already from Chowchinet, from Chowchinet in the chat. He says Fraser, Motchen, an Alfa Romeo, a Lambo, a Mercedes, and a McLaren. All right. And we will be waiting for you guys, but take your time. We are in no rush. Santino posted his prediction as well. 1 Haas, obviously Fraser, because he's the only Haas left in this session. 1 Alfa, 1 Aston Martin, both Mercedes, and 1 Lamborghini. So a little bit bold there saying both Mercedes will be eliminated, but you never know. It could happen. They struggle in Q1, but it doesn't mean they'll struggle in Q2. It doesn't necessarily mean that. Of course, this isn't like real life. Teams can alter the car setup between sessions here, so Mercedes could be going a little bit faster than that. So we'll have to wait and see. But keep your predictions flowing in the chat, guys. Of course, we can't wait for you to share them with us. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep, indeed. And, well, for Mercedes, they definitely need to turn up a wit. Could they have been potentially sandbagging or what? We will see. But anyway, we've now got the stream back up on our screen, so let's get Q2 underway now then. I haven't said my predictions yet, so I might as well say
Then go on.
I'm going to say Fraser will get eliminated. I think Mottram will get eliminated. I think both Alfa Romeos will get eliminated. I know they had a good Q2, but I think that will maybe catch up with them in this session. I'm going to say a Lamborghini, and I'm also going to say I'm going to say a McLaren. I think a McLaren will get eliminated, unfortunately, but that's my prediction. And well,
and what if that McLaren is yourself?
We'll see. I haven't said specifically which McLaren, so
all right, anyway, fair enough.
As I think my YT stream decided to have a little bit of a moment with me on the other tab, but managed to get it fixed on my end. So anyway, we are now in the garage, currently in the cockpit of Rahul Patel's Lamborghini, as it looks like a Ferrari is going out on track first. That being Chris Chatfield, who would be going out first. The man, of course, who took pole at the Malaysian Grand Prix and went on, of course, to win that race. In fact, went for the pole position, fastest lap, and the race win in that race. It was a totally dominant performance last time out in Malaysia. Looking to see if he could try and make it 3 wins in a row. Although Q1 wasn't exactly the best for Ferrari, but they could turn up the whip when we get into Q3. It could be something to keep an eye on. Of course, Chatfield did top the practice session. Let's not forget. So maybe there's more to come from him a little bit later on.
Yep, it will remain to be seen, of course. Things can change around from Q1 and Q2. I don't expect the Alfa Romeos and Mottram to pull amazing laps anymore, but we'll have to wait and see. I think Ferrari, though, definitely have something there they didn't show in Q1, and they can go a little bit quicker than they did previously, so it'll be very entertaining to see what happens.
Yeah, indeed. In the meantime, I think a couple of more predictions came out. 3 more, I should say. Dennis said both Alfa Romeos, Mottram, Fraser, 1 Mercedes and 1 Renault. Xavier said both Mercs, both Alfas, Mottram and Fraser. And Haley Bailey said both Mercedes, Haas, both Renaults and 1 McLaren. So a little bit bold for Haley on that occasion. So anyway.
Both Renault, that's something you could predict for a practice session, but not for Q2. It's interesting.
As Chatfield now then just comes out of the triple right-hander, as all 16 cars are now out on track, so Chatfield will not get any traffic on his first run as he now makes his way into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then he will go, as Chatfield is going to start his first flying lap of Q2, which he starts around about now then, so as he now heads up towards the first corner and going down into first gear on that first corner, as you can see on the def panel at the top. Ignore the graphic that's on the left-hand side because that goes up into 8 gears really, but of course there's not 8 gears on Grand Prix 4, there's only 7. It's only really a graphical thing to make it look like they've got 8 gears, but in actual fact it doesn't, because it only goes down to second gear on that graphic. But anyway, 17.959 for Chatfield in the first sector. A few more times have come in that first sector. 17.930 for Lopez, 17.964 for Perinen, and 18.6063 for Fraser, 17.943 for Dairy in that first sector, 18.080 for Mottram on that occasion, as they
nothing groundbreaking so far. Everyone looking pretty close together.
And usually the first sector is not really one to keep an eye on because it's usually mainly flat through those corners. So it's mainly in the middle sector and the last sector where you gain most of your time. Anyway, let's see what Chatfield's second sector looks like now then. A 56.871 in sector 2 as he just goes around the right-hander. A 56.899 for Lopez, so Chatfield actually up on Lopez in the second sector. 56.852 for Perinen, so Perinen's up on Chatfield in the second sector.
Mottram and Fraser 3 tenths down on these guys.
And as I said earlier, that the middle sector is where we'll see maybe some space, the time starting to space out.
Take a look at this. George Rogue 17.7 in the first sector. This will probably be the fastest lap of this session so far. As here we go with Chris Chatfield setting the benchmarker time for all 16 drivers to beat, 131.4. Can Lopez beat it? He cannot. And American Daniel Fraser, he goes into third place, make that 4 because Perinian takes it. Motrin goes 5th, no miracle lap from him this time. What about Andre Federi?
Second place for him. Perinin was actually up on Chatfield, let's not forget, in the middle sector, but it looks like he may have got held up in that last sector. Chung 4th, Quag now goes to the top, a 1 minute 31.243, so the Alfa Romeo is showing some good pace again in this session. P3 for Galloway, slots in behind teammate Chatfield.
We have Rook, he's gonna smash it.
There you go. Well, 7 tenths quicker, 1 minute 30.484. Patel goes second, 5 tenths off of Roke. Byrne across the line, he goes into third with that lap. Carr, meanwhile, in the Mercedes, just comes out of the final turn. 2 tenths down on Roke in the second sector, but let's see
You
where
should get him into a top 3 comfortably.
No, it doesn't. He actually goes into 5th, so he actually lost quite a bit of time in that last sector. I wonder if he's made
Has
mistakes
he made a little
somewhere.
bit of error?
It was actually, well, he was up on Quag for a brief time, but no, it just seemed like a very poor last sector for him. On that
yeah, that's
occasion.
strange. Willows goes 4th. Gamba 15th only. Must have been impeded.
Oh, he made a mistake. Let's have a look. Well, he is behind a McLaren. No, he got overtaken by McLaren.
No, he made a mistake.
At the same corner where he made mistakes during practice. And
he had almost had a spin. Was able to correct it very nicely, but got passed by Willows after that. Tokyo drift there.
Similar error with what Gal did earlier on, but at least Gamba was able to save it on this occasion, unlike what Gal did. But I think that might have compromised the McLaren behind as a result. And
I'm surprised he kept that car going straight, I'm going to be honest. Either way, Willows doesn't appear to have been compromised too much, given that his lap put in P4. Make that P5 because De Rosa now goes second, but McLaren are looking very strong here.
Yep, P2 and P5 at the moment, but it is Rogue at the top of the timing sheets with a very, very good lap, Rob.
Absolutely right. I knew it when I saw that first sector 2 tenths quicker than everybody else that he was gonna smash it, and he smashed it out of the park, as the Americans would like to say in baseball terms. He is comfortably gonna make it through Q3, and I think he'll have the fastest time for Q2. I don't see anybody beating that. If he can replicate that pace in Q3, though, is another matter.
Indeed so, as Chatfield now then coming into pit lane. Only 8th and 9th so far then for the 2 Ferrari drivers. Both Alfa Romeos currently in the top 10, but at the moment in the drop zone we have Lopez, Chong, Perinin, Fraser, Motrin and Gamba, but I think we are expecting a lot of improvements on this second flying lap, Rob.
Absolutely right, especially for Franco Gamba. Keep an eye on him because we don't really know what his pace is going to be like.
Indeed, as I had to take a sip of a drink there, but yeah, indeed, it will be quite interesting to see how that one sort of plays out as Fraser gets wheeled back into the garage along with everybody else who's also come into the pit lane. Motrin down in 15th, so not able to replicate what he did in Q2. Q1, sorry. So just under 9 minutes to go now then in at this session as Patel will get wheeled back into the garage now then. As he is 5 tenths off of Roke at the moment in 3rd position. So wheeling back into the garage then goes Patel in the Lamborghini as we wait now then to see who will go out first for their second flying laps. Of course, last time by, I believe it was Chatfield. So we'll see if that's going to be the same case again next time by. 1,000 separating Galloway and Fraser, meanwhile, in 9th and 10th. It looks like Lopez is getting ready to go out on track, judging from what the mechanics were doing. So I think he might be able to beat Patel to the punch here.
Being Galloway and Federi.
Yeah, as we now wait to see, as Lopez is now coming out onto the racetrack now then. So he's first on track now then. As he'll be looking to try and see if he can get himself into the top 10. Wasn't the best of first laps for Lopez, 1 second off of George Roke on a race where he could be out of the title fight, more than likely out of the title fight this week, which would mean that we would be crowning a brand new world champion at the end of the season. But whoever that will be, we'll have to wait and see as Lopez just goes around the S's to try and prepare for his next flying lap. Chatfield is on track, as is Quag, so is Videri. So 4 cars currently on track as we speak, as Lopez makes his way down a hill towards that hairpin. And so far, as Patel has now got out onto the track. Anybody who's just joined us, of course, a reminder who's in the bottom 6. Lopez, Chong, Perinin, Fraser, Motrin and Gamba. And so far throughout this session, of course, we've had so many, it's safe to say as expected, Rob, quite a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely right. Kota is a difficult track, but that's why the drivers love it so much. It's one hell of a challenge, and getting that flying lap spot on just feels so rewarding. The Franco Gamba, I'm afraid he got a whole lot wrong, so he'll have to get better next time around. You have the other Franco Lopez, who I think gave up on defending his title long ago. Really, I don't think he'll care if he's mathematically knocked out of the hunt this race or not, but he'll try to make it through Q3, of course. And here he goes with his lap there. Here it begins. In towards the first corner, run up the hill. You can brake very late here, and then get on the throttle early for this nice little section. A little bit tentative there. Lopez was mid corner, but let's see. Flat out for two, no real worry there. As in towards the SSC goes, flat out for these first sections, then it gets a little bit slower. Goes down the gears through fourth, up to fifth. He is down a little bit, 10th and a bit. As looks like he took a lot of curb there onto the left-hander. Now to this little chicane, which will launch you down the hill towards the flat-out 9 and towards the hairpin at turn 10. Traction is critical in this section, of course, as you must get a very good launch on this long straight, and it is a good launch for Lopez. So let's see if he can gain a little bit in the middle sector. Let's see that Mercedes putting all its horsepower to good use there. Is the main overtaking opportunity after all, and yeah, hard on the brakes for turn 11, turning in nice and early, make that corner neatly, taking off curb on exit. He hasn't lost that much in the middle sector, so he could still yet find an improvement, but it'll be interesting to see. As now, in towards this left-hander, very early line, he's taking their very early corner entry, got on the throttle quite quickly for this section, which is not quite flat, but he carry a lot of speed for the multiple apex right-hander. Through the left he goes now, careful on the exit. He doesn't take any curb, which is impressive. Clearly not wanting to use all the track though. Now he takes some curb on exit from Andretti, and that is a lap of Cota with Franco Lopez. Is it an improvement? Is not. He lost a little bit further.
Needs to get back around quickly if he wants to get into the top 10. Chatfield doesn't improve. He stays in 8th. Videri up on his personal best. He crosses the line and goes up to 2nd. So again, seeing some good pace from Videri at the moment. Quag, meanwhile, his teammate is now up on in his personal best at the moment. Quag across the line. He will go and he does not improve. Patel is
only
up
by
on his
100th.
personal best. Patel, meanwhile, going around the final corner as he makes his way onto the pit straight now. Then as Patel is now going to cross the line now then, and he goes up into 4th. Burn across the line.
Stays there.
Across the line, no improvement. Fraser is not on an improvement either as he makes his way onto the pit straight now then, and he does not improve. Gamba is up on his personal best, obviously, because he obviously had that power slide earlier on. Goes up into 5th. Car doesn't improve, meanwhile. Did he get held up again, or did he make another mistake? Let's see. It might have something to do with Gamba here. In fact,
he was overtaken by Gamba.
Gamba overtook him again, but he was already down on his first sector, which is a bit of a surprise because we saw that Carr had some good pace in the first flying lap before he got held up by the AlphaTauri well, I think by somebody coming into the pits if I'm not mistaken, or was it a mistake? I can't 100% remember.
Wasn't that in Q1?
Can't actually remember because he was actually down on his last sector by quite a bit, surprisingly. Galloway, meanwhile, is up on his personal best and he's currently in the drop zone. It would push his teammate down into the drop zone if he does improve and gets into the top 10. But let's see. Galloway making his way onto the pit straight now then, and across the line he will now go. And he goes into 4th. So Chatfield now in the drop zone. Willows on improvement. He goes up into 3rd. So he gets into P3 there. Gets in front of the teammate DeRosa, who, speaking of which, he's not on an improvement. He crosses the line and he stays in 10th position. I think these are the runs done with. They are indeed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at the moment...
Just over 3 minutes left.
Car is currently in 10th position. So Mercedes really struggling around here at the moment.
Yeah, they really are struggling, but they're looking a little bit better than they were in Q1. So I think Ka will be doing his best to make sure he can get another lap in and get cleanly this time around. And he needs to be in Q3. He has to be in Q3. He can't let Gamba get away.
As Videri will now get wheeled back into the garage now then. So he's currently in 2nd position. Quag will also get wheeled back into the garage. Have both Alfa Romeos done enough to get both cars into Q3? We'll have to wait and see on that as Quag takes an interesting detour through into the garages there. As we wait to see. Will anybody else get one more flying lap in before Q2 comes to an end? They need to get out before the 1 minute 30 mark. Otherwise, that will be it for any chance they've got of doing another flying lap as Patel now gets wheeled back into the garage in the Lamborghini. Same will go for Fraser as well, who's just over there in the Haas. He now gets wheeled back into the garage as we now wait to see if anybody will come out on track. There is Chung, who's now just come back into the pit lane, and she might be out of qualifying because she is in 13th position, as maybe as well for Perinin, who's only down in 14th as well. So Chung now then getting wheeled back into the garage now then in the Lamborghini, as I'm not seeing any activity at the moment as we speak, as 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40,
This is gonna be
39,
tight, but I don't.
38, 37, 36, 35, 34,
There's not
33.
enough
Oh, it could be
time.
tight with this Alfa Romeo. 30,
No, you
but I
won't
think
make
that
it.
that's that then. So I think we've got our session sorted then, really, and it means Chatfield, Lopez, Chung, Perinin, Fraser, and Motrin have all been eliminated. So quite a lot of big names there, Rob.
Yeah, indeed. And once again, Armarkov through by the skin of his teeth. He can breathe a huge sigh of relief. But what's going on with Ferrari? Their momentum, that is it starting to vanish because Chatfield is obviously not going to be on pole this time around, and Galloway looks a little bit mid in the top 10. I guess he's P5, and yeah, I'm so impressed with the pace Alfa Romeo have today, and McLaren are looking very strong as well. But George Roque was class of the field so far. We'll have to see what happens on in Q3, of course. But yeah, with Chang and Perinian, those eliminations were a little bit of a surprise. Chatfield as well. So many of the people who might have been in contention for pole have been knocked out. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens. Federi won't get to the line in time, but we'll have to keep an eye. We'll stick with him, of course. And when he gets to the line, the session will be over. Yeah, the checkered flag will be out. 20 seconds to go. Just he's not gonna make it. And Mercedes struggling pretty much, but Amarka only just made it, so he'll be thankful for that. And he'll be starting 10 for better, and he'll be hoping to maximize the result. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The checker flag is out. Federi has not made it, and neither has anybody else. That is the end of the session. George Roque is fastest, with Andrea Federi brilliantly once again second fastest, and Joseph Willows third fastest. Eliminated in Q2 are Chris Chatfield, Franco Lopez, Laura Chang, Jesus Pernian, Daniel Fraser, and Roland Mutchen. No miracle lap for the Aston this time around.
Indeed so. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment, and then we'll be back for Q3. In the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's United States Grand Prix here at Austin, Texas. But for the meantime, I'm just going to go silent for the moment as I prepare to tweet.
My prediction is Federi. No, just kidding. Just kidding. My prediction is Evan Byrne for pole. As, yeah, I'm gonna try to keep you guys entertained while Joe is busy tweeting the Q2 results. So, did you like that session so far? Let us know your predictions, of course. You got time for it, so we'll see. Ross says Joe for pole. Colon smiley face. Smiley face. So winky smiley face there. Yuri says Armar fights for a world record title with a literal boat. Santino says Kiro pole. All right. I tried that prediction once myself. It didn't exactly worked. Funkchanat says makes the same prediction. He's predicting a De Rosa pole. Upside down smiley face. All right. Well, you heard my prediction. I'm predicting Burn for pole, or maybe the run of sandbags are finally going to go off. And yeah. I'm surprised nobody is predicting Rogue for pole. I'm hoping you can predict him for pole, Joe, or somebody, because I haven't seen anybody predict Rogue, either of the Red Bulls for pole so far. This is bizarre because Red Bull has been the fastest car this season most of the time. And yeah, nobody predicting either of the Red Bull drivers for pole at the moment. It's a little bit strange, but of course we still got time before the session starts. And yeah, what else can I say really? So yeah, George predicts won't be me, that's for sure. Xavier predicts Gamba pole. Thank you. He said, you want a RB pole? Here we go, Rob. There you go. Thank you, Xavier. Armar predicts Evan Byrne pole with an interesting spelling. George, you gotta give me a prediction. Just not you isn't gonna carry you. You gotta be a little more specific, mate. So let me know your prediction, George. Yeri, what is your prediction, I wonder, because you're rather quiet.
My prediction is that I will take the pole position.
How?
I'm the god.
True. But then who will be second if you're on pole position?
Nobody, everybody's going to crash out.
All right. Well,
I
Joe's
walk
back.
faster than these guys drive.
Anyway, I'm back now. So obviously, it should be quite an interesting Q number 3. Obviously, I think the surprise is obviously Alfa Romeo getting both of their cars through into Q3. Whether or not they can produce what they've been doing so far and cause a few surprises, it will be very interesting to see. But of course, not out of the realms of possibility, because of course they have had some good qualifying so far this season. Of course, Qual getting that front row start at Spain, and then Videri starting third in, I think it was the Japanese Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, I think that was it. Dennis predicts Franco Gamba pole, and what is your prediction, Joe?
We'll get there when we're on the loading screen, as we're about to get underway now then, as the stream is back on the screen. So let's get on then with the final part of qualifying then. And I'm going to go with... I'm going to go safe and say George Roke for pole, I think. I think Roke will grab it.
I think you'd say that since no one else predicted the Roke for pole.
That's who I think anyway. But anyway, we're about to get into the garage, which we are here now then, and we're about to get the final part of qualifying underway here at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas.
Whether it is Franco Gamba, George Roke, or Evan Byrne, I'm sure the Red Bull will take pole today.
Indeed, as
Evan Byrne, of course, in the Red Bull halo.
Yep, as now we wait to see who is going to go out first onto the racetrack now then, as we're currently yet again in the cockpit of Rahul Patel's Lamborghini, and there is some movement, as I can see on the minimap on the top right, and it is a Renault, and it would be Evan Byrne, of course, because Perinen got eliminated in Q2. So Evan Byrne is going to be the first driver out on track for the final part of qualifying, and out on the track he will go now then, as he makes his way up towards the first corner now then, as he flicks the car in through the left-hander and using a tad bit of curb on the outside. Down towards turn 2 he goes, and using all the curb on the outside before he makes his way through into the S's now then he will go. As more cars have now fizzled their way on track. Car is on track, as is Joseph Willows, and let's wait to see if anybody else is going out onto the racetrack. Yep, Franco Gamba has gone out on track, as has Roman Quagg, the first of the 2 Alfa Romeos in this session. So has George Roke. He's just emerged onto the racetrack. Kirishima DeRosa on track. Galloway has just emerged on track. So 2 cars yet to go out on track. One of them being Videri, and the other one being who is it? Patel. That's the one who's just come out onto the track. So just waiting for Videri to make his way out on track very soon. And let's see. And let's see who's going out on track next, and that will be well, obviously, of course, it's Videri, and now he is out on track. So all 10 cars now out onto the racetrack now then, as Byrne makes his way through into the triple right-hander now, then he goes before making his way into the final 2 corners on the racetrack, as he will be preparing to start his first flying lap of Q number 3 now then, making his way out. He makes his way onto the pit straight now then, and Byrne starts his lap now then, as he makes his way up towards the first corner now then, through into turn 1. He will go as he flicks the car in through the left-hander, using a bit of curb on the outside before making his way down towards turn 2. Through the right-hander he goes, and now through into the S's goes Evan Byrne. Through the left, through the right, then through the left again, and then through into the right again as well. Let's see what his first sector looks like. A 17.885 in the first sector now then. What's everybody else doing in that first sector? A 18.048 for Willows only, so not the best of first sector for him. 18.027 for Carr. He is up on Willows, but down on Byrne, as looking to see what everybody else is doing, as Byrne just goes around the left-handed hairpin now then before making his way onto the back straight.
Gamba
So
is matching Burn actually a little bit quicker by a few hundreds.
17.883 for Quark, so he's up on both Willows and Car in that first sector. So again, Quark showing some very good pace in that Alfa Romeo. As up
Roca
towards the end of the
17.8 as well, 56.5 in the middle sector for Burn. Meanwhile,
he's just come out of the second sector there. As now coming around the left-hander he goes. 57.138 for Willows and 57.057 for Car. Meanwhile, as Byrne just goes around the triple right-hander before approaching the final two turns on the racetrack now, as he flicks the car in through these section of corners, and now in towards the final corner he comes. So, around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Evan Byrne in the Renault as he makes his way onto the pit straight. Let's see what the benchmarker time is going to be. Across the line comes the Irishman. It's a 1 minute 31.016. Here comes Willows, who didn't look like he had the best few sectors on the track. Here comes Willows across the line. He will go, and he slots the second 9 tenths off. Car across the line, he goes into second 7 tenths off. Here comes Franco Gamba, the championship leader. Was up on
he's lost a heap of time. Has he made a mistake in the middle sector?
Must have done, and it looks like the same corner again. So again, Franco just doesn't seem to learn from previous mistakes.
This time it was on the right-hander. He understeered, and he's really struggling for balance in the S's section. Now, has he impeded that Alpha? No, I don't think so.
It doesn't look like it. I think Quark may have got away with it. But anyway, into the final corner and onto the pit straight. So again, Gamba again with mistakes on his first flying lap. Gamba across the line, he will go. He's going to be behind all three that have set a time, and that's P4 for him. Quark goes fastest by 71 thousandths of a second, but here comes George Roque in the Red Bull, and it looks like he might have made a mistake somewhere. As
yeah, that lap is woeful.
He also made a mistake as well, like Gamba. Let's see. And, well, it looks like he may have had some understeer through into there. But, yes, it was. But not as dramatic as Gamba. Or is it? Yes, it was, in fact. So, the Red Bull's really struggling through into that corner there. So, both of them...
They can't keep doing that. What the hell is going on with their balance? It's particularly the Red Bulls who made that mistake throughout practice and qualifying. Grosso goes third. Galloway goes second. We have Patel.
Patel now then in the Lamborghinis. He makes his way onto the pit straight now then. As he now is going to make his way across the line. And he goes into second place. As here is Vaderi now then, who is up on Quark. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, although he did lose time.
An Alfa Romeo front row lockout. Could we have that on the cards? Here goes Andrea Federi across the line. Can he go on to provisional pole, the Italian? No, he goes third. But my goodness, what a session this is for Alfa Romeo. We still got 10 minutes to go. But they're P1 and P3. My God.
Alfa Romeo have looked pretty strong around here at Kota, it's fair to say, on one lap pace. Alfa Romeo, we did say, could they make a bit of a surprise in this session? Well, 1 and 3 at the moment for Quark and Vaderi at this stage. Of course, the Red Bulls did make a mistake on their first flying lap. So, of course, we need to keep an eye on what they can do a little bit later on. But somebody take a snapshot of this very, very quickly.
This will be one to remember.
Yep, indeed. Indeed, and
Haley Bailey said Federi pole, which was my joke prediction, but Haley is actually serious with that prediction. Meanwhile, Evan says, yeah, hashtag RMR for performance president is now a movement. Performance president, that's a term I've never heard before. But Kyle will be happy that he is out qualifying Gamba at the moment.
At the moment, indeed, as we wait to see what on earth is going to happen in the remaining part of the session. Still 9 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine
what
the
a
grid
snapshot, Joe. I've posted one in our little Discord chat.
Just
about now.
As now Quark is now getting wheeled back into the garage now then. The man who's currently at the top as the Lamborghini Patel has made his way back into the pit lane now then. And I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. I know that Quark has had a pole position before in the past, but I'm trying to remember if it's only one he's had and not multiple times. I'm just trying to have a look. And yes, in fact, no, he's had 3 pole positions. In fact, his last pole came at the 2015 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix when he was driving for Williams, of course. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it is something to bear in mind as we wait. As we now wait to see who's going to go out on track first for the second runs of Q number 3 here at the United States Grand Prix. As we now
don't forget that last time the drivers didn't get time for the third run, so this might be the last chance.
indeed, as we wait to see who's going to go out on track next of all. As now, wait to see who's going out on track next, as it's going to be the Renault again of Evan Byrne who's going out on track first. He's currently in fourth position. The top four, of course, separated by 71 thousandths of a second. So it could really be the smallest of times that could really grab this pole position as he comes out with his little tweak to his livery that he's bought for this weekend's United States Grand Prix, along with that Red Bull jab that he's got on the halo there. I'd say a jab to Red Bull, it's more of a jab to Renault really. But anyway, as
And before one of the Red Bulls takes pole by 4/10 of a second.
Byrne now then making his way through the right and left-hander now then we go, as Byrne is preparing for his next flying lap, as he will now make his way down towards the hairpin now then. As now, Byrne will be starting his lap very, very soon for his second flying lap. Still two cars in the garage, that being Patel and Vaderi at the moment. So let's see who's going out first out of those two. Just keep an eye on the left-hand side of your screen. Patel will get out before Vaderi, so pretty much like what it was last time by. As Byrne now, there's all 10 cars out on track, so just like last time, Byrne will not get any traffic whatsoever on his next flying lap. Could it be his final flying lap? We'll have to wait and see. As we
two
have
cars right up behind him on track are very close to each other. It's the two Red Bulls.
the two Red Bulls who could try and slipstream each other if they can. But anyway, Byrne is about to start his next flying lap as he makes his way in towards the final corner now then.
Here we go.
Could
Could be his last shot, so here begins.
The two Red Bulls behind also about to start their next laps. Of course, they need to improve after they both made mistakes at pretty much the same corner on the previous lap then. So Byrne coming out of turn one, making his way down towards turn at number 2 now then on the racetrack before making his way through into the S's, through the left, through the right, then through into the left and right he goes. What's the middle sector going to look like for him? He's 46,000 down
not so bad
on the quag into the first sector as he now makes his way through into the right and left-hander now then. And let's see what Quag is able to do as he makes his way down the hill towards the hairpin now then.
Quag.
Sorry, Byrne. Sorry, I'm thinking about Quag because that's obviously the guy he's trying to beat. So anyway, Now coming down the back straight now then we go. Very long straight. You can't really afford to rest too much because, well, otherwise you'll end up going off the gas pedal, really. So anyway, down towards the end of the straight goes Byrne as he now makes his way through into the left-hander now then, using the curb on the outside now then before he makes his way
His last up further 600s.
It says 800s, I think that said. But anyway, 1/10 down in the middle sector compared to Quag as he comes out of the corner. Just under 5 minutes to go now then in this qualifying session. Through into the triple right-hander we go, as let's see what Byrne is able to do as he makes his way into the final two corners. Into the second to last corner we go now then. Now making his way down towards the final corner. Let's see what Evan Byrne is able to do now then in the Renault as he makes his way onto the pit straight. Evan Byrne across the line. He will go in the Renault and he does not improve and he stays in fourth position.
Here we go with Rowe.
He goes to the top by 75 of a second. Garber only 7th with that lap. P6 for De Rosa. Here comes Willows. He's up on his personal best.
Here goes Willows. He might be able to gain a little bit, but here we go. Willows. 7th.
For him. Gets in front of Garber meanwhile as here comes Jake Galloway in the Ferraris. He's now going to cross the line now then as he does not improve. Roman Quag is not on an improvement, so not able to get back in front of Roke if he can. As Quag makes his way down the pitch straight now then his car improved but still in 10th position. Quag across the line, no improvement. He stays where he is. Patel is up on his personal best and he is up on Roke, but he lost time in the middle sector. So let's see if he can keep it up in the last sector. Let's see. Patel across the line he will go. Can he beat Roke to the top?
Yes he can.
55 thousandths of a second. Vaderi, meanwhile, no improvement for him at the moment, and he stays in 5th place for the moment. And I think these are the runs done.
That's it for this run.
The question is, will anybody else get back out on track to do one more final run before the session comes to a close? But at the moment, we could be looking at a 3rd pole position of the season for Rahul Patel.
I think Byrne, Roke, and Gamba are the only ones who might get a shot. And if that's not the case, then means Franco Gamba and Armarca, the championship protagonists, will be sharing row 5 together.
As Byrne now then makes his way back into the pit lane now then.
Nobody predicted Patel for pole, and if nobody goes out, he will take it.
As Byrne now then comes into pit lane. And And so let's see if anybody will get one more flying lap in before the session comes to a close. And so you're jumping the gun a bit there, George. Wait for the timer to expire, lol. Anyway, so we now wait to see what if anybody will go out on track. They need to get out before the 1 minute 30 mark, otherwise that session will be done with. As they all make their way back into the pit lane now. Then still 2 cars on track, which is of course Patel and Videri. I don't think they'll be doing another lap after this. But Galloway is going to get wheeled back into the garage. P4 for him, so pretty decent job for him at this stage. As we're now at the 6 o'clock mark, by the way, so an hour away from the Formula 2 race over at Fuji. Just over 2 minutes to go now. Then let's see what's going to happen. And so. Let's see now then. 30 seconds left for anybody to go back out on track and do one more flying lap before the session comes to a close. 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37 now, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, and nope, that will be that then. So Rahul Patel, for the 3rd time this season, is on pole position for tomorrow's United States Grand Prix.
That came a little bit out of nowhere, but very impressive lap. He's being roped to it by half a tenth of a second. Byrne goes out on track once again, but my pick for pole hasn't done with enough time, so he will not make it. Patel, brilliant stuff there from Lambo. Came out pretty much out of nowhere. Lamborghini weren't looking that quick in practice and in Q1 or Q2, but Patel got the lap he needed at the time he needed. The quickest lap in Q2 was 1 minute 30.4 from Rogue, but he just couldn't replicate it. So the Q2 time was quicker than Q3 time, but it's the Q3 time that counts. So pole position goes to Rahul Patel today.
So, as we wait for the time to expire before we take a look at the pole lap from Rahul Patel. Just on the topic of pole laps, on Thursday I'll be getting round to trying to do catch-ups for the pole laps, by the way, so then we can get back to normal.
That should be fun.
So then we get back to normal from the Mexican Grand Prix. So do be aware of that. You might see a lot of notifications in the notification bell of loads of pole laps being uploaded onto the GP4OC channel. So be aware of that. But anyway, 20 seconds to go then in this session, as we wait for the checkered flag to expire before we see the pole lap from Rahul Patel, as 12, 11, 10, and then 9, 8, and then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and checkered flag is out. That's the end of the session. And now we're going to take a look at how Rahul Patel took pole position for tomorrow's United States Grand Prix. Enjoy it.
Yeah, here we go.
That is how Rahul Patel took pole position for tomorrow's United States Grand Prix. A very good lap indeed, 55 thousandths quicker than Roke, and it is his third pole of the season. And question is, though, could he potentially try and get his first ever win in the top class, or will George Roke alongside him stop him? But there we go then, that is the grid sorted out. Rahul Patel on pole position for the third time this season, George Roke in second, Roman Quagga, very impressive third, Jake Galloway fourth, Andre Videri in fifth, a good qualifying for Alfa Romeo overall, with Evan Byrne in sixth, Kirishima DeRosa seventh, Joseph Wellers in eighth, so the two McLarens locking out the fourth row, and the championship contenders, well, they're locking out the fifth row. Franco Gamba in ninth, and Almar Carr in 10th, for qualifying to forget for the pair of them indeed. But a very, very entertaining qualifying session, Rob.
Absolutely right. Alfa Romeo doing amazing in every single session. In the end, they get both cars in the top 5. That is amazing. McLaren underperforming a little bit. The two championship contenders having a bad day in the office, but they at least both made through Q3. They'll be starting P9 and P10. And George Roke did all right, despite that error in the first lap of Q3. And Rahul Patel, out of nowhere, came and took pole. Then took Wilson out, didn't elaborate, and just took that pole position. And dealt him very nicely. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow, of course, because the race will be something else with the soft tires, high degradation. I'm expecting one hell of a show.
Indeed so. Well, that has been it then from the qualifying session here at COTA. I hope you have enjoyed it. A very, very entertaining session indeed, and hopefully a very entertaining race tomorrow, which, of course, once again, we will be commentating for. I will indeed. I'm not sure if Rob will be, but we'll see. But anyway,
I think I will have time.
Well, we're not done with live streams just yet because, of course, coming up in just under an hour's time, we, of course, have the Formula 2 race over in Virgie, which you will hear Rob's voice again for. You might hear my voice, but we'll wait and see. But until then, that has been it. I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I've been JW97. He's been Rob, and we'll see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. BST for the 56th lap United States Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Take care.